There it goes.
Yes.
Showing recording now.
Yes. So if you want to mute your mic just for this portion of time, that would be awesome.
Yep.
No. All right. So just as we get started, first welcome to the intro class for the tour of the chakras. I invite you to think of this question, and if you have a notebook handy, to maybe write out your perception of this question, right? What are you made of? So there are two ways that I want you to sit with this question. One is, what do you think the question is asking of you? What are you made of? And additionally, there's the question itself, right? So just allow your mind to explore that a little bit. What are you made of? And if anything is coming up for you as that question, you know, we hear a question and we know, or we believe there's a way that we should answer the question, and there's also maybe some thoughts that we observe that come up around that, that might be self-attacking, or our cheerleader thoughts. All right. So once you have enough written where you'll have a reference point, we're going to do a little exercise to get right into our hearts and into our bodies. And know that anything that's coming up for you right now is okay. But a lot of the time, when we go to answer a question, we go right into our heads. And that's not always the safest place for us to go when we're not connected to our hearts. So to wake up the nadis, and I'm going to go fisheye now. And I'll pause the share. So can just doing funky things today. All right, so can you see me now? Just show, yeah, okay. So now take one of two of your hands and hold it palm out. And then bring the tips of the fingers of the other side and just begin really softly, as if you were touching the air or the energy just above the skin, right onto the skin surface, and begin to draw little circles around the center of the palm. Nice and soft. And what you're making contact with is the palm chakra. And so nice and soft. just drawing little circles. And then reverse that circle. Now come towards you, or go the opposite direction that you were going before. And then begin to bring those fingers, the hand that is doing the circling, up to the index finger, just the edge of it, and begin drawing. And even if that's just with the middle finger touching the index finger, just begin to draw tiny circles right at the edge of the index finger on the fingertip. And make 3 or 4 of those circles and then move to the next finger, to the middle finger. And then to the ring finger. And to the pinky. Then back down to the palm. 3 more circles. And up to the thumb. So now if you hold those 2 hands apart and just take notice, maybe one of them is more awake. Perhaps you can feel the energy or the warmth around the hand that you woke up. And now bring the opposite hand, and begin drawing circles on the one that was not drawn on previously. And if you find yourself pressing too hard, just soften up a little bit. And then reverse that circle. And then bring that right up to the index finger. Tiny circles right on the edges of the fingertips. And then on to the middle finger. And to the pinky. Down to the palm. 3 circles. And up to the thumb. And so bringing these palms together now, just about 1/4 of an inch apart, right in front of the center of the chest. And begin to sense the energy flowing through those palms, which are sub-chakras to the heart. And the pulse. And in a sense, you're taking your temperature, right? What temperature do you sense? Is there warmth? Is there chill? And either or neither are okay. Is it just a wave of energy? And in this moment, intend to anchor your consciousness right here in the center of the mode, in the center of the ocean that is in your heart chakra. And so placing your left palm where you circled right over the center of your heart. And then the right palm right over that. And then whispering aloud to yourself, what brings me here today? What is my intention? And let your answer come from the heart. And allow that one question to come back in and see if it affects you any differently now. What are you made of? What am I made of? We're going to take 3 slow, deep breaths and fill the lungs, and we're going to release everything out of the lungs on the exhale through a forced and directed breath out through the mouth. And on that third exhale, we're going to release this questioning and open our eyes. And you can release your hands. Okay. So, my name is Angelique Marie Baffieu. I'm a Reiki master, practitioner, and teacher. And in 2008, I was asked to start teaching meditation to some clients and folks who really wanted to be able to quiet themselves or get in touch with that aspect of themselves that is still. And so I have been teaching meditation and meditation skills since that time. And this is an image of me doing a meditation where I had a friend with their iPhone taking pictures of invoking the light and the power of intention and how it can materialize. So what are you made of? Here's one answer. You are made, as I am, of 7 octillion atoms. Octillion, I had to look what the translation of that number was. So 7 octillion atoms can be hard to wrap one's head around, so don't try. Stay in your heart, even through this part. So an atom is approximately 99% empty space or energy, right? So when we apply that to ourselves, our physical body is the smallest aspect of what we are. So here are some images of hydrogen atoms and an electron in the center, right? And the electron is the negatively charged aspect, right? And the negatively charged aspect is what brings about matter, right? And when looking through a microscope for the matter of the atom, you will not see it unless you are looking for it. It is a scientific fact that unless you are looking for it, you cannot see it, which means that the power of what we are looking at and how we are perceiving it is extraordinary because it determines what we see and what we do not. So what are you made of? Well, like the atoms that are your creative foundation, you contain the potential of 7 octillion times the space, energy, or frequency of the matter that you are. So really let that just go into your heart. Don't let that take you up into an analytical space. You are so much more than what you are aware. Right? And while this course, the Tour of the Chakras, is not a heavy scientific course in the slightest, it's so important to look at the scientific dynamic, or to look at of which we are made, in order to really start this discussion off. The tree of life is something that it intrigues me, especially when you are looking at the paradigm of the chakra system. And the tree of life really comes from the phrase, as above, so below, as within, so without, which comes to us through the teachings of the Emerald Tablets, which was written by Hermes. And Hermes is the Greek translation of the name Thoth. Right? And so this Emerald Tablet, which is not a very thick read at all, it is really, if you were to purchase it, it is a tablet. It is perhaps 30 pages, and it is really just the same tablet written over and over again in different translations. This tablet was the guiding force of the wisdom, philosophy, and way of rulership and power for kings and politicians and philosophers for many thousands of years. And if we are to look at our own systems, not so much, I know when I think of the tree of life, or I think of as above, so below, my mind goes to as it is on earth, so it is in heaven, right? Or as it is in our personal lives, so it is in the heavens, or astrology, right? But in truth, you can take this filter for viewing, and bring it right into the body. And so as my root chakra, so my crown. So the state of being that I am at the lower aspect, which is not the lesser aspect and should not be confused with any chakra that is lower is not lesser, right? They are so equally important to each other. However, the state of my root chakra is the state of my connection to my higher mind, to my ability to be inspired, to connect to that which is above, right? My soul. So I think these images are just absolutely lovely, especially when we're looking at this double helix tree of life and its connection within us. So as within, so without. Here are images, not just, this is what looks like the image of the atom, but it is actually an image of our universe, right? And how we are an echo of the universe itself. And without all that dark matter, and without all that space and energy, it would not be as it is, right? And so we're here today, in part, my intention is to honor that dark matter that is within, right? Because there is energy and free flow. There is so much potential and possibility within that space. And so, as within, so without, what are you made of? Well, as within, biology tells us that we are 70% or more water. And the chemical composition of water that is in us is that exact match of the ocean. And then this occurred to me recently. So without, right? The nature of the ocean is underexplored, mysterious, and full of life that has yet to be revealed, right? And so perhaps some of us have not explored as much as we have the potential to, our inner domain, right? The ocean. So here we are. I hope all of that got you into the frame of mind in understanding that what we're really here to look at today are our chakra system, right? And the above and below of the chakra system. So in the tour of the chakras, each week is a study on the chakras themselves. And in this intro, what I would like to go over really is these 7 chakras and how they correlate to the physical body and also to the mental body. Right? So we begin with the root chakra. Let's see if I can. I'm going to pause this share. Blanket. All right. So we begin with the root chakra. And when a person is standing, that root chakra looks like a cone or a trumpet. And it travels down and comes out of the system. And for women and men, this will vary, right? Because women are internal creatures and males are external creatures. Females' root chakras are a little bit closer to the body by about 2 to 3 inches. And males are 2 to 3 inches further down in that trumpet. However, when a person is maintaining pure posture, right? I don't want to use the word perfect, but I do want to say that pure posture in meditation is a way of aligning the root chakra to the earth, right? And really connecting in there. And this is why it's so important that we do not curl or hunch these things, because then the root chakra is kind of coming out this way, right? So when we connect to the earth, we have the ability to release that which no longer serves. And also we are connecting directly in alignment at the crown when we are in this posture. And so it allows us to receive that information and for the free flow of that information or energy from the crown all the way down to the root. And so, but we'll go over postures at a different point. The root chakra has everything to do with what it is associated with in astrology, really, even though I'm trying not to head in the direction of astrology here, but is Scorpio, right? So if you are not familiar, it is connected to the wise teacher, to the present moment, to the limitless nature, to that dark matter, right? To the space in between, to death and transformation. And so if a person understands what the root is connected to, you can start to assess in yourself which chakra may be off balance, overacting, or underperforming. There's no such thing as a shutdown chakra unless somebody has cut you, like you have been, I don't know, disemboweled. I mean, not to be graphic or gross, but like there's no such thing as a shutdown chakra. So don't ever listen if anybody's, oh, your heart is shut down. Your heart would not be beating if your heart chakra was shut down. So that's all like gross exaggeration, right? But the root in most people is pretty off, right? Now, when you look at the ways of viewing emotions, right? And there's from not only Donnie Darko, but most psychological views are, there are two primary emotions, and they are love and fear, right? And where are you on that scale? For the root chakra, that same scale would be fear of death, right? And fully present. Those would be your two extremes. Because any fear, when you're talking about the fear of being late, the fear of running late, not moving within time, anxiety having to do with physical livelihood, the instinct of survival, all of those are tied to the imbalances of the root chakra. Up to and including PTSD and instability, right? But those are emotional and mental things. So when we're looking at this physically, it may show up as spinal issues, slipped discs, because the root is not just energetically coming up here, but it is connected to the entire spine. So anytime we have spinal issues, even though that spinal issue might be over a certain other chakra, like if someone has a neck problem, we would be more likely to relate it to the throat chakra. And yet it is a combination of the root and the throat, right? To be present in my communication and expression of self. So, but let me not get too far ahead there. So the next chakra up is, and if you want to follow along by touch, then you are more than welcome to. I'm going to. But about 2 inches above the pelvic bone, and this varies dependent on the length of your torso. So, but about 2 inches up and about 2 inches down from your belly button, right? For some people that might be 1 inch down from the belly button. Or the belly button might be right here at the thumb, body length dependent. But this is about where the sacral chakra is. And so we know of the bone, right, the sacrum, right, or the sacral of the spine. So if you bring your hand back here, between these 2 points is both aspects or sides of the sacral chakra. And while the root chakra comes down in one cone, the sacral chakra and from the sacral to the third eye are all double-sided cones. So there will be a front aspect and a back aspect. And for the sacral chakra, because it's the second body, it comes out approximately 2 inches, right? So imagine that trumpet cone, and it comes out about 2 inches. So if you bring your own hands about 2 inches out on either side, and there is an entire energetic body that outlines the physical body that now travels all the way around, and that is the second body. So the sacral chakra, while it's down here, is connected to so much more. right? To all of us. Now the sacral chakra, when this is off balance, when it's overacting, issues of extreme financial insecurity, fear of financial security, which can be two different things, a lack of belief in one's creative power, the ability to change or shift one's dynamics, victimhood, sexual addiction, overeating, binge eating. Those would be things, among others, that are in association with the overacting of the chakra, where the underactions of the sacral chakra can be things like starvation, deprivation of things that cause joy or true happiness. And I don't mean momentary pleasure there. I mean the things that doing them, such as like self-care, bathing, hygiene, which, you know, some of you might find that funny, but the reality is that different people are struggling with different things, right? But it can be traced back to an imbalance, right? Underactivity at the sacral chakra. So then we move up to the solar plexus, right? Which is kind of a leap. It's a leap in space, at least for me. But if you trace the area where the ribs part, this area right here is the solar plexus. And so it's really only about a 2-inch width at the base, but it's the third body, and it comes out approximately 2 to 3 inches in that space around the body. So the trumpet, the base of it is here, and yet that now creates the third body. And so that now goes over and around the system, right? So the solar plexus has to do with your pure will, pure choice, right? And when this chakra is out of sorts or imbalanced, our will may be associated with self-destructive behavior, right? Whether that is just simply not doing the next right thing for ourselves, or being captive to the lower two imbalances, right? I don't want to say to the lower two chakras, because the lower two chakras are beautiful as all other chakras. However, this from the belly button down is where the ego or the instincts, when chakras are imbalanced, go to extremes, right? Hunger for a kind of power that is an outside-in power. So when this chakra is imbalanced and harmonious, we are making really pure, positive choices that are in alignment with our own conscience. Whew. And this chakra flows directly through the center of the stomach. And so those who have intuitive abilities that are more clairsentient are going to perhaps feel that through the stomach, like a knot in the stomach when you know something is coming that that you want to be stepping out of the way. So then we move up to the heart chakra. Right? Now the heart is the fourth body. It is connected to the energy body that travels around. That is the fourth body, is known as the astral body. Therefore, even though it is the fourth body, it is connected to the limitless nature, right? Limitless energetic reach. So if you can reach comfortably, then do so. But essentially right between the shoulder blades is the back heart, and the front heart is right at the center of the sternum, right? It's not over the actual organ of the heart, which is a little bit closer to center than most folks think. Biologically, it's pretty much right here. So it overlaps the heart chakra. But when we're doing any kind of chakra work, we want to be focusing on the chakra and not the organ. So that comes out about but in the 4 to 5 inch range, right? And this all depends. When we're sitting indoors, there's a likelihood that these measurements are correct. When you go outdoors or you're in nature, the energy field just can expand like an umbrella. So, but within this space, now the heart chakra is connected to the organs, not just of the heart, but also the lungs. It's connected to the bones of the shoulders, right? So, and a lot of times you can spot the imbalance within this chakra because if a person is bowing in, right, they are protecting their own heart, they are putting on armor, or they are forcing themselves closed in the back, right? And perhaps we have a harder exterior when we're closing off the back. We're not only causing great pains to, our spines by those postures, but in addition, it's easier to spot the imbalance physically, right? Any diseases of the respiratory system, heart disease, those would be the extremes of imbalance. However, needing more than your fair share of personal space, agoraphobia, fear of connecting with people or fear of feeling, any anxiety in any of those extremes all the way down to the, the lightest dose of that have to do with imbalances of the heart. Additionally, in metaphysics and in metaphysics, all kinds of metaphysical communities, lots of people are constantly talking about this need to protect themselves, right? And while, yes, clearly there are people and there is energy in the world that is not all the energy you would want to invite over for tea. But the fact is that when someone is absolutely grounded and anchored in their own heart, that is the safest that they will ever be. The absolute safest that they will ever be. Because the power of that limitless chakra blasts a kind of pure light into the energy field, which does not allow anything to remain within that space. It becomes an open doorway, right? They receive and release. I take what is mine and I let go of the rest. I take what works and what fits, and I release what doesn't, and it has no power to harm me, right? So ultimately our power, or to succeed above the victim mentality, right, or the underdeveloped empath, is to understand that, right? That is really where all of our power resides, is right there in the center. And within the 7 chakra paradigm, this is the center, right? 3 below, 3 above. So now the throat chakra, this is entering the higher consciousness, right? So these are higher consciousness and lower consciousness chakras, right? Lower, not lesser. Higher, not better. So the throat chakra is the 5th energy body. And even though it's associated with air, it's more connected to ether, right? And ether has that born in space, also a limitless energy to it. So the throat chakra is connected also, right? The image, I believe the symbol for the throat chakra is an upside down triangle, right? And that upside down triangle, if you think of the ears are here on the triangle and the throat is here, right? The gullet. And this is where the base of the throat chakra is. And the other side of it is at the most protrusive notch of the spine before it submerges into the neck. And that point on the spine is called the identity center, right? So the throat doesn't just have to do with the words that we speak, but also the integrity that we abide by. Do I do what I say and say what I do? Do I express myself clearly to the best of my ability? Do I tell the truth do I deal with the truth within myself, right? And so anytime that's off, or we're not in integrity with our own, with the truth and our truth, this chakra will show almost immediate symptoms of garbling of the voice, perhaps a knot in the throat, especially when people are trying to push down tears, which is their truth at that time. They're trying to release resistance in the form of water, releasing the ocean outward, right? So that new energy, new space can be filled. So when somebody tries to put the kibosh on that, a throat, a knot in the throat will typically develop. And so just as equally important as it is to speak one's truth, it is also to listen in truth, in integrity. So when I'm in the company of another person, to listen to them fully and wholly with all of myself. So, and to listen without judgment. And one of the major symptoms of imbalance within this chakra is hyper judgment, whether that judgment is toward myself or toward others. And typically, when it's in one of those two directions, it boomerangs in the other anyway. Right? It is a very quick karma chakra. So, because what you put out there is what you get back. That is the experience of the throat. And so even any slip discs within this area, while of course they additionally have to do with the root chakra, they also have to do with the throat chakra, right? And sometimes people can get injured, and then it triggers the imbalance within their personality, their perspective, their ideas, and their expression, right? So it's not always inside out. It is sometimes outside in. But chances are, whatever the obstacle that is presented is something that on a soul level we needed to work out, right? Or that we will definitely benefit by taking responsibility for our condition and working through it. So next we have the third eye, right? Perhaps when I've taught this class for large groups, sometimes people just want to show up for the third eye because for whatever reason, this is like the most interesting of all the chakras. And yet without a development of the lower chakras, and specifically without anchoring to the heart, the third eye is just an area in between my brows. It will mean nothing, right? So, because it requires anchoring into the heart and being truly present in order to engage one's vision, right? And that vision may show up in different ways. We think vision, we think eyes. And yet, really, when the third eye is fully activated, the eyes almost black out. All that can be seen is pure energy. And this has happened to me only less than 50 times in this life. But it is a very intense experience. And the first few times, maybe you just think you're going blind, right? And we won't be doing that for you. That is something that's a personal experience. If you're supposed to have it, you will. But in the meantime, it's just developing that intuition, right? And this chakra runs and is hinged directly at the pineal gland. And so the pineal gland is this pea-sized gland, right? And that gland, when that gland is in full motion, our sexuality is not overacting, right? And so that kind of brings me to how each of these chakras correlate in the as above, so below, as below, so above paradigm or view. And that is root to crown, right? The only other single trumpet. Then we have sacral to third eye. So chances are, if I'm having an imbalance in one of these upper chakras, I additionally am having an imbalance in the lower chakra that correlates to it. Solar plexus, my will, my throat, my expression. And then we have the heart right at the center, which in the 7 chakras is just remains the center, right? If we were doing super chakras, which are the chakras above, then the heart correlates to the soul. And everybody knows the song Heart and Soul, right? Well, you've heard of it. So, so those would be the correlating chakras. But for our purposes, we're really just going to be working within these 7. So it not only runs through the pineal, right? And the pineal gland can become calcified from overuse of fluoride. And there are a few energetic processes in which you can decalcify the pineal gland. And that is something that we will be doing in the tour of the chakras once we get to that week. We'll be doing so much that I haven't had a chance to mention. But so next we have the crown. And even though my bun is a little off to the side, it's a kind of beret hat today. It's still, I'm going to use it to represent the 3 layers of the crown chakra. So the crown sits right above the skull, but also the brain. And so that's its primary organ. And so there's nothing wrong with our brains, even though we talk about being heart-centered. It's a beautiful thing to be able to heart-center and then have that primary energetic pulse can send information up to the brain, right? As opposed to the brain telling the heart what it should be. So if you have ever seen a Buddha statue, then some of them are seated and it kind of looks like they have hair and a bun on top of their heads. When in actuality, Buddhas are bald, right? They shave the head. So this is not an odd sect of Buddhism in which these people grew their hair long and wore it in buns. That bun, just like in Christian artwork of the Renaissance, you see the angels and the Virgin Mother and with these halos, right? But those halos are a symbol of an open crown chakra. So they're not like just a strange glowing circle that God gave them, right? Just to light up their heads and light the night. Those are open, they're the representation of an open crown chakra. In the Buddha statues, that layer that is just hair, right, is actually the first layer of the crown. And that first layer of the crown is connected to compassion. Right? And true compassion is not a feeling that we have for somebody else. It is an agreement of a feeling that we hold both ourselves and the other in simultaneously, which we'll get more into at another point. But so developed compassion is how to keep the mind healthy, right? And that should, I would think that's obvious, right? Like if this world, if people developed true compassion, we would not have the crime and the violence that we do have, right? Because without true compassion, the mind is devoid, right? It's separate from spirit, it's disconnected from the heart. So that second level is empathy. And so when that's distorted, there are a lot of people who naturally are empaths, right? Or who woke up to it after meditating for a time or just developed it. And without truly engaging that empathy, one can perceive that they are in danger in the world because they can feel everybody else's feelings. And yet, when this is a developed aspect of the crown, we are in communion with others. We are able to assist them and be compassionate toward them in a very different way, in a different way than someone who does not have the developed higher intelligence of empathy, right? And so it becomes a higher intelligence when we engage it as such, when we are so connected in the heart that we can feel without taking it in or taking it personally. And so then the third layer, right? So that second layer would come up to about the base of this bun, right? And then the third layer of the crown is unity or oneness. And so it is the highest stage of awareness in which we realize, well, I am myself, I am one with all. I am connected to all that is. And so my own self-healing, the greatest thing I can give this world is to heal and awaken myself to a greater consciousness so that I might contribute, so that I can leave selfishness and loneliness aside and focus my heart and my will and my being and my creative powers and my present moment to giving within this world. So, and that would be a fully awakened being, right? And by no means do I promise that anybody's going to be a fully awakened being at the end of an 8-week class. I don't even promise anything beyond what you're willing to commit to. So then the more important thing is not committing yourself to some extreme, because that's not in harmony with what this system is. And how it interlaces within the body, it is known as the subtle body. So it is how all of this energy merges within the physical body and connects to the meridian system. And at the beginning of this, we opened up the sub-chakras of the heart, which are in the palms, to give, left hand to receive, right hand, reverse that, to give, right hand to receive, left hand, right? And so to wake up our unique abilities, right? And each one of us has something that this world will benefit from, so long as we're focused in that service. And so to develop a deeper level of consciousness is to heal the self. And that is something that I can definitely say that you will have. If you follow with this course, you will definitely have a deeper and higher level of consciousness. And you will have more choice. And more choice to me equates to liberation. So at this point, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause the recording, and then we'll have a few questions. We're going to take a little bit of a leg stretcher, probably a 5-minute jammy. And then, no, she's eating selenite. Sorry, the cat is eating selenite. So do not eat the selenite. At a certain point, I will show you the crystals that we'll be using, some basic crystals that we'll be using throughout this, throughout the tour of the chakras. But for right now, I'm just going to pause the recording. Hold on. So welcome back to Tour of the Chakras, the meditation portion of the intro class. Let me get myself fuller in view. I'm going to find a way to clean this little where probably should have hit record after I figured this out. Here it goes. Good enough. You can see my body. So when it comes to posture, it's a really, especially in the beginning, right, of getting used to the muscle memory of the physical body, it's important to stretch, right? And learn your lesson from Angelique, who once upon a time was 5'11" and then went down to 5'9" because she didn't stretch for 3 years while meditating like 3 to 5 hours a day. Okay, so I'm getting it back, but it's taking time. And here's how to get it back. There's one soft stretch that you can do, right, where you just put the base of your feet together and you kind of butterfly and then bring them in as is comfortable, and then simultaneously walk the sits bones backward until the pelvic bone is rested on the pillow. And if you're diving forward the way that I'm diving forward, that is a-okay, right? But really the most important point to release is the hips and the pelvic region. So we want our pelvic bone to be touching the pillow, right? Or as close as it can be with the sits bones. And then from this bowed forward position, we can start to unroll, but just at the hips, right? So we're allowing the whole spine to rise without pulling up on the tailbone or the pelvic bone. And still, if we're in a little forward motion, that's okay. And if you are not as conscious of your physical body, feel free to get personal, right? And touch your pelvic bone and really see how much contact am I making there. And another easy stretch that can be done is to cross the legs one over the other. Bring the hands under the top of the knee, the top knee, and draw that into a soft hug. It doesn't have to be tight, and it doesn't have to hurt. It shouldn't hurt. If it does, back off. But you're just bringing that in to a nice little hug. And then on an in-breath, we're going to support the ankle and draw the knee into a cradle, right? Your shoulders shouldn't be overworking, so check in with them. And if they are, just back off a little. And then inhale. And you don't need to lift the leg very far up, right? It just really needs to be resting above the thigh. And then as if there was a pencil on the edge of your knee, just draw little circles. Little teeny circles. Or a laser, and it's drawing those circles on the wall. Big, deep inhale. Switch the direction of the circle. Next exhale, we're going to release that leg back down on top of the other leg. And all the way down. And now, if you're looking at the legs on one versus the other, one leg might be longer. Mine's longer by about 1 inch right now. So that is not unusual. Now we're going to balance that out. So cross the other leg over and draw that into a little hug. Deep breath. Next inhale, support the ankle and bring that in a little towards you. As if there's a little laser on the edge of this knee, drawing a little circle on the other wall. Reverse that circle. And release that leg on the next exhale. And the legs should definitely be the same length now. All right. Following polio. So now, if you're back on that pillow, you might find it a lot easier for the pelvic bone to release. Right? Sometimes I just like to walk my tuchus back onto the pillow just to really get her in there. All right, so now we're going to go over the breath that you're going to be taking. And this breath both activates, grounds, and awakens the subtle body, right? So the primary channel. And so if you just follow this visual, the breath is going to come in and circle around and go all the way down beneath the belly button. And that energy is going to be stimulated and drawn up where it exhales through the right release. In through the right, travels above the third eye, all the way down, under the belly button, comes back up. Exhale the left. Then we're going to draw in both nostrils, release both nostrils. So if this is something that you haven't done before, don't waste any time thinking that that's something you can't do. This is a technique that's been used for many thousands of years, more than 5,000 years in meditation practices. So it is very doable. In the beginning, it might be that you notice one side is more congested than the other, right? And so we understand that the left body is what we have received. It is the past. It is the feminine element. And the right is the active, the masculine. It is what we are doing, right? And so it is more than likely that when you begin, one, if not both of these will seem a little congested. Some of what's going to help you is the internal mudra, right, or gesture that you will be making, which is taking the tip of your tongue and placing it on the roof of your mouth, just behind the front teeth. And if you feel like, don't press so hard that you're working the muscle of the tongue, right? It connects there. And so play with that area. Go all the way up to the fronts of the teeth, right behind them. And then just draw the tongue back until you feel it almost like click into place. And that holds the connection of the two channels, right? Of the primary and the governors. So just imagine or sense that when you place your tongue in that position, that those two channels are connecting right above. And then if you need to close off one nostril at first, the first few times, that's okay. But the breath itself, if you take it, if you pull the breath from the top of the mouth, as if that's the point you're drawing in, it will be much easier than breathing low at the nostrils. When you breathe low at the nostrils, it can be very loud, right? But this is actually a soft breath, and the sound is heard inside. It is the Anjali breath in yoga, if you are familiar. So we're going to draw in left. Close off the left, release right. Draw in right. Release left. Draw in both. Release both. So now see if without any hands you can draw in left. Release right. Draw in right. Release left. Draw in both. Release both. So you'll continue the pattern until you hear the first bell. And then you will release to the nature of the breath itself. And any time your mind begins to wander, you can return to one full cycle of that breath. When you hear the 3 bells at the end, that is when you will release the meditation. If I am to speak during the meditation, don't worry. If you hear me or if you can't hear me, it doesn't matter. Release the breath to your natural breath. Follow the light within. Repeat this mantra in your own mind. Om. Om. Crown. Ah. Throat. Hum. Heart. Om. Before you open your eye, draw in a deep breath. Empty the lungs entirely. Two more. And on the third exhale, release the eyes open and let go of the meditation. All right. So, I'm gonna pause this so that I can hear from you guys as to how that was for you. So, so essentially, I want to thank you for watching this and joining in for this class, whether it's through recording or here live. So this class is a total of 8 weeks of touring the chakras. We just completed week 1 together. And if you wish to join in the rest of it, it is a $333 course. And if you order, for those of you who are live, if you order Uno Pronto by going to Venmo, and my second choice obviously would be PayPal, right after this course, then you can take advantage of 10% off, which makes it $300 for 8 weeks time. And of course, you don't have to take advantage of that. I thought it was sweet when someone didn't. But, but it is my gift to you for watching live. And for all those of you who are watching the recording, the course is $333. And if you were looking for personal attention, I think I did this ass backward, but if you were looking for personal attention and you wanted private one-on-ones because you're camera shy, you don't want to join in with other people, whatever your situation is, you have a schedule that precludes you from meeting up on either Tuesdays or Saturdays, because that is going to be our live schedule, where we have one class Tuesday evenings, and then the same class will be run again on Saturdays. And if you can't make either, this could fit your schedule in the way that you just follow along with the recordings and meet up when you can. And if you can't, we'll additionally have access to the Facebook private community page, Tour of the Chakras, for only the people who are in this course, who are committed to it or have taken it in the past, where you can ask questions and interact with each other and learn about each other's experiences and share your own experience and get feedback when you need it. And you will also be receiving a couple days before the recordings, probably Sunday nights, you'll be receiving the study pack for the next week. And that'll give you plenty of time to read it leading up to the class. And then we'll have the class, the meditation, and the technique of the week, which is thrilling. And then any additional little like video jammies that I feel like popping out about those techniques, then I'll just slam them out through the week through posts or deliver them gently. Either way, they will come to you through the community page. All right, well, that's my spiel. Thank you very, very much for joining me. and have yourself a beautiful day where you choose to take your power back, because we have one choice, and that is go within or go without.